Not only in testing, but when it comes to general life as well, and we have a target to achieve, we create a plan to follow. But what if that plan fails to let us achieve that target and reach our goal? Does that really mean that repeating the same plan again and again would help you? Or probably you would like to tweak your plan or change or have a different plan and hit the same target once again. So that is what we will be trying to understand in today's episode. Hello friends and greetings for the day. Welcome back to another episode of Testing in Nutshell. This is Neeraj Kumar Singh and today we are talking about another principle of testing which we call it as Pesticide Paradox. Pesticide Paradox is kind of a non-technical term which generally comes in terms with relation to pesticide when you talk about killing the pest in agriculture, and on the other side paradox seems like a medical term which can be used for any psychological effect on your mentality. So the story came up basically from a farmer who thought that to fix a kind of issue with related to his crops, when generally they find pest in crops, he used a pesticide which was recommended by somebody or agriculturist to him. Now this farmer used a particular pesticide on that crop with a particular quantity X. Now of course he got a good result. But being excited about this, that this pesticide helped me to overcome this barrier, he actually used the same pesticide with the same quantity in all other crops as well. Now you don't have to be an agriculturist or you don't have to be a farmer to understand that the pesticides are different for different pests. And of course, we have different pests in different crops. Now, of course, at the end of the day, this farmer had ruined all his other crops. So that's what we are going to understand with respect to this theory and this story, that what is pesticide paradox. So we actually term this entire relation as pesticide paradox. That means you think this pesticide is good for all other crops as well. So in testing, we took the similar concept or similar logic to define one of the principles for the testers. Now what is that? Let's understand. When it comes to testing, you do create a set of test cases to test a particular functionality or maybe a particular requirement. Now when you execute them, of course, at some point of time you may wonder that all your test cases are passing. So say you created 10 test cases and you executed them, and fortunately or unfortunately, that we'll see later, all of your test cases passed. But as a good tester, or you have a very good experience about the product and domain, you thought that, of course, there must be a bug in this particular area. But why my test cases are passing? So you went to your manager and wanted him to approve you to repeat the test cases once again. Probably you thought you were missing something. And then you re-executed them, but again, fortunately or unfortunately, all your test cases are passing again. Now, seeking permission again and again to repeat the same test cases is just as stupid as following the same plan to score 90% in your academics, which you followed earlier and got only 60%. So this is what we are talking with respect to pesticide paradox, that instead of wasting your time repeating the same test cases or same test suite again and again, why don't you think about refactoring your test cases or refactoring your test script? It is also possible that it's not in the approach. It might be with your test cases that they are not sufficient enough to find the defect which you're looking for. So probably sometimes we think that our test cases are strong, but we also know at the same time that there are defects which I'm not able to find. So instead of repeating the same approach again and again, why don't you try to update your test cases, revise your test cases and hit the module again? Probably your test cases are no longer enough to find a good defect in your functionality. And that is what we also follow or apply when it comes to regression test suites. No matter your regression test suites are maintained for a long time and probably you keep executing the same test cases, but as you go on updating a lot of things in your existing application, like you have updates, upgrades and several other things, then of course from time to time your test cases in the regression test suite must also be revised and updated. because there might be many such test cases which no longer are helpful to find any defect for you. So that is what we understand from this principle, that is pesticide paradox, which states that it is not mandatory or it's not beneficial if you keep on repeating the same test cases again and again in order to find a defect. It is more important if your test cases are unable to find defects, instead of repeating them again and again, please think of revising it or updating your test cases before executing again. So yes, you do execute again, but hit it with a different set of test cases instead of the same. So that's all from this particular episode, team. Hope you really enjoyed and have really great learnings from this episode. We'll be getting back to you with another interesting content from the principles itself in the next episode. Meanwhile, if you have any questions, any queries, feel free to comment below. I'll be there to address your queries and answer them well. Till then, keep learning, keep exploring, and keep understanding the context. Thanks for watching the video, team, and happy learning.